iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. I am Brett the Jet in the booth with Turn 3 Racing Network, bringing you the action here tonight from the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Drivers are doing a distance of 110 laps here tonight, so it's going to be a good one to watch. We have 15 cars on the premise here ready to do battle, and of course we will see how that shakes on out. We get all so closer to the playoffs. If a driver can find their way into a win, it could be a great opportunity to get a shot in the playoffs. Then anything can happen, but one driver has been on a hot streak and looking to continue that. That is the 44 machine of John Ross we saw last week on the Turn 3 Racing Network. He put on a show at Chicagoland and made it 3 in a row tonight. He's trying to go for 2. Of course, we got to give a huge shout out to our title sponsor. That is Riptide Radio, from the sounds of the salt, sand, and sea, broadcasting from Ocean Drive, South Carolina. Free to download for the best Carolina beach and boogie music. Be sure to check out Riptide Radio, and if you're in the area, be sure to tune into that station. We also got to thank our sponsor here with Turn 3. That is, of course, Premier Racing Setups. Be sure to check out Premier. Use the link in the description. Head on over there if you're looking for some open setups, because they do a great job as we wrap up practice. Steve Ritter in the 16 machine on top of the charts. We'll see if he can throw down a good lap here in qualifying, as I believe we have the first car rocking and rolling onto the speedway. Looks like it will be the 21 machine. Has GStone on the side of that. It is Rob Lowe in the 21 Ford Mustang here. Gonna get this baby up to speed, and coming off of turn number 4, he will come to take his first time lap here in qualifying at the start finish line. The 21 machine is on the clock. Rob, one of those good drivers that if he gets some long runs especially, man, watch out for that 21 machine. Last week he started deep in the field around 17th, so way back, and didn't have the qualifying lap he wanted, but was able to charge all the way up through the field to a podium finish. So Rob hoping to at least repeat that, if not better. Lap number 1 for the 21 machine, a 31.73. Right now quicker than John Ross, who is also out on track, just completed a lap. Yeah, at the moment, Rob, big time though moment coming off of turn number 2. He will get a big piece of the inside wall. He's got to hope that lap stays, but we go to a lap that is the time to beat. Steve Ritter able to throw down a 31.53. That is a flying lap from this number 16 Leaf Guard machine. As Ritter off at turn number 4 for his final time lap. He'll try and improve that time. We'll see if he can at the start finish line. No, he will not. Next lap was a 31.56, so his 5.3 from lap number 1 will stand. One guy that was pretty quick in the practice times in the top 3 in the standings, Johnny Barker, out here in the number 6 machine. First lap able to put him P number 6 with a 31.96. So Barker gonna have to try and find a little bit more speed if he wants to crack into that top 5 here in qualifying. Gonna have to pick up about a 10th, because right now it looks like the 62 machine holds 5th with a 31.86. Off of turn number 4 for the final time in qualifying for the number 6 machine. Johnny Barker crosses the stripe, does improve into that top 5. He will slot in to P number 4. Then we'll go to a guy just rolling out of pits here. It is Brandon Guerin in the number 4. We saw Guerin last week try that wild strategy, try and hope maybe for a yellow or something, turn out in the end. Didn't quite work out just how he wanted. Apparently last time ran out of fuel coming to his pit box, trying to stretch that fuel as far as possible. So probably lost a little bit of time there. So he's hoping for a good run here tonight. And who knows, maybe throwing some alternate strategy, as already lap number 1 puts Guerin in the top 5. He's going to be looking for more on lap number 2. At the start finish line, looks like he will not improve that lap. Exactly the same, another 31.81. So Guerin will stay in P number 5. Looks like one car has not taken a lap. Looks like the number 5 machine of Nate Catola out here in this Monster Energy Toyota Camry. I believe just doing laps, trying to log, because I think, actually no, he did put in a lap of 32.38. Just the slowest time here tonight so far. We'll see if he can improve here on lap number 2. It looks like yes, he can. He'll jump up to spot P number 12. But we got to head over to our BG Graphics pole award, and that going to the Leaf Guard number 16 machine of Steve Ritter. Ritter out here throwing down a great lap of 31.53, the only car in the zip code. The question is, can he keep that pace when it comes race time? We'll find out in just a few seconds as we wrap on up. But we, of course, got to give Steve a big shout out on the BG Graphics Pole Award here tonight from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Alrighty, folks, we head on over to race time for the White Mountain 110 as we got drivers gridding up here on the front stretch, and I think it's time to head over to our Riptide Radio starting lineup here tonight for the 802 iRacing League. Starting on the pole, we just got done talking to him, will be the 16 Ford Mustang of Steve Ritter. To his outside, the guy trying to go for 4 in a row. It is the 44 of John Ross. Row number 2 will be made up of the 21 of Rob Lowell, and to his outside will be the 6 of Johnny Barker. Start rolling off, and P number 5 will be the 4 car of Brandon Guerin. To his outside will be Joseph Gergala in the 47. Then starting back in the 7th position will be Frank Zeigen in the 62 with AJ Cawthon in the 25. Dalton Powell in the 51 machine will roll off 9th. And to his outside, rolling off 10th, will be Kenny Reel in the 24. 11th will go to Nick Larson in the 82. 12th will be Nate Catola in the 5. 13th will be Jeff Barefoot in the number 9 machine. And to his outside, Ariba Canton in the number 30. And then starting shotgun on the field tonight, back in 15th position, will be the 52 machine, Dave Farrella. Here we go, folks, as we got cars rolling on the Speedway. We're going to get ready to do the dance here for 110 laps around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We see the field rocking and rolling. One pace lap, so after this, we light them on off. But I think we got to keep our eyes on the front of this pack, at least at the start. Keeping an eye on these two right here, as we'll see how good of a restart Steve Ritter can get, and if anyone can put John Ross's hot streak to an end. Off of turn number 4, the field will come. The iRacing pace car will head down pit road, and Steve Ritter and the 16 machine on the loud pedal. We go green flag racing here from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The field will dive down into turn number 1, already single filed on out in the front 2. Then first battle side by side, Rob Lowell in the 21 down low. Johnny Barker just having a nose to the outside. Not anymore. Rob Lowell has the better drive off the corner. He will slot into 3rd. Then here comes Brandon Guerin on the attack of the 47 machine of Gervala. He's looking to maybe try and get around. Doesn't quite get the run on off. So single filed out through the top 5. As further on back, we see the 62 machine under fire from the 25. Looks like, one car really loose. He will somehow save that car. That's the 24 of Kenny Reel. Reel with an awesome save here tonight. And I saw a lot of this, folks, in practice. Drivers really having trouble getting out of the corner, let's say, able to put the power down of these next-gen cars, but especially off of turn number 2. I think there's for sure a bump right about there, folks, that you can kind of hit. And if you hit that thing wrong, it is a bad time. As we see one other car getting loose down, that's the number 5 machine. He was out of shape just a little bit off of turn number 2 that time. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see how these drivers can navigate this track. But right now, Steve Ritter, fastest car the last couple laps. He's trying to check on out, but that time by pretty even between 1 and 2 on the time. Both throwing down a 31.90. Once again, the 5 car loose off of turn number 2. Everyone so far has been able to save their race car, keep these cars under them, because that's the other thing with these next gen. If you're not the most familiar with them, they have basically zero side force. As one car, that's a 30 machine into the inside wall. He will keep it rolling, and it looks like we stay green flag racing as almost contact into turn number 1 between the 5 and the 82. We'll see how they get off of turn number 2 as they go side by side. This is the battle for 10th on the Speedway. Looks like they will sort themselves out, but here comes Kenny Reel in the 24 machine trying to enter in the picture. So only 6 laps in so far here tonight, folks, but we are racing like it's the last 20 out here. I love to see it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show that these drivers are putting on. As we look on board with Kenny Reel at the back bumper of Nick Larson. Reel, of course, just outside of the top 10. Now a little bit further up, Dalton Powell and Brandon Guerin trying to do battle here, and has the 25 AJ Cawthon right there as well. As Cawthon gets a good run, he will go past the number 4. And I have to look a little bit closer for folks, but yeah, you can see some damage to the right front fender and the right side of the number 4 machine. So Garen having some body damage. You got to wonder, did that affect the car any speed-wise and handling-wise, as he has fallen in the wrong direction already here early in this race? He's got to hope he can figure something out, because he has now lost 4 spots from where he started. As everything right now calming on down as we approach lap number 10 here of the 110 distance here tonight. Of course, this series running with 75% fuel, so not quite full distance on, let's say, the stints with the fuel. And I believe tonight we do have three sets of tires over the wall here at New Hampshire, so drivers should be all set and plenty unless we get a plethora of yellow flags towards the end of tonight. I believe everyone should be pretty set on tires as we head to the front of the field. Steve Ritter leading the way over John Ross, but John Ross has been putting in the laps. He has been a little bit faster for the last couple. Last time by, though, pretty even, but John Ross now putting the pressure on Ritter for the race lead. Ritter a little bit loose off of turn number 4. He will let John Ross go on by. So new race leader here on lap number 11. John Ross out in front of the field here once again. A familiar sight we have been seeing. We saw it last week on the Turn 3 Racing Network. John Ross, even though some drivers were trying some other strategy, he kept his head down. He stayed focused and picked up another checkered flag of the season. He's hoping to make it 4 in a row here tonight, and he's sitting in a good spot to do that right now, leading the way here on lap 12. One car that has been gaining a little bit on the cars in front, that being Johnny Barker. Barker kind of in no man's land right now in the number 6 machine, but he is looking pretty good on pace. If he can keep this pace for long run, he might be a fight for sure with Ritter. I don't know if he's got the pace for Ross right now. We'll take a look. Last time by, top 3 all within a tenth of each other, so looks like everyone kind of settling on out as we head a little bit further back. Side by side racing action off of turn number 2. As we look on board with the 47 machine, couldn't quite get the traction off the corner, but man, can he roll that middle well. You saw him suck right up to the back of the 21 machine of Rob. The question is Rob thinking big picture? Is he taking it easy on that tire in the middle of the corner, allowing these other guys to get to at least his bumper, but not able to get around? And then, you know, 15 more laps into this run, we'll see that 21 walk away. Could be the case. We'll have to see, as now Dalton Powell in this 51 machine has caught the back bumper of the top 5 here. So Powell looking to get his way into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. A lot of great racing here so far at the New Hampshire for the 802 Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series. As we look a little bit here, Johnny Barker has closed in the gap within half a second of second place. I think we got to do it, folks. I think we got to ride on board with Barker here and see what he is doing and what's making this so fast, as we have a dash cam here on board with Johnny Barker in the number 6. Oh, you can hear there just a little bit, was able to bang 5th gear right before he had to hit the brakes. So you gotta wonder, maybe people's shift points are determining how well they run, if they are shifting or not. But you can hear it there from Barker, just grabbing 5th gear before he has to lift for these corners. Last time by for Barker was a 32.43, a little bit slower than the car in front. Steve Ritter was able to rip off a 32.27, so maybe Barker's tires starting to go just a little bit, as that time a 32.51 at the stripe. Further on back, it looks like the 47 machine was able to complete the pass on the 21, as Rob Lowell in that 21 machine big time sideways. We saw that yellow hood as he slides once again into turn number 3. He's able to hang on to it, but those rear tires screaming hot and begging for mercy. Rob Lowell really has to back down this car, either dial a ton of front brake bias in for the couple laps, really take it easy on entry and exit, because that right rear tire is angry on that car. That time by a lot smoother off at turn number 2. We'll see how he enters turn number 3. Looks like a lot better, but with that, Lowell has lost a lot of time to the cars in front. Now a 2-second gap to the 51 and 5th, so hopefully Rob doesn't have an issue with that car, but having to really back down that pace in this number 21 machine. As we come back here, sorry about that, folks, having a little weird blip there, but we head back to our race leader, get a little rundown here through the field. John Ross out here leading the way in the number 44 machine. In second is the 16 of Steve Ritter. Then a little bit further back, Johnny Barker in the number 6, rolling off in P number 3. Fourth is Joseph Gervala in the 47 machine. And rounding out the top 5, Dalton Powell in the 51 is in 5th. 6th is the 21 machine of Rob Lowe. 7th is AJ Cawthon in the 25. 8th is Frank Zagan in the 62. 9th is Nick Larson in the 82. And then rounding out the top 10, Kenny Reel in the 24. It looks like tough days for Dave Farella in the 52 machine. Finds himself 1 lap down at the moment. He's hoping maybe for a yellow flag here at some point. Maybe sneak his way back on to the lead lap. And then Jeff Barefoot having issues right from the get-go. Almost instantly fell a few laps down, at least back out on track, but 3 laps down. So Jeff Barefoot in the Riptide Radio number 9 machine, hoping for some yellow flags, try and get some lucky dogs and get back on the lead lap. So interesting here for second. Steve Ritter has fallen about half a second to 3/4 of a second behind the race leader, kind of hovering down in there, but here on lap number 25 has kind of caught a good rhythm, let's say, and able to reel in our race leader just ever so slightly every lap. So maybe Ritter showing some long run speed, especially here in 3 and 4. Ritter picks up a ton of time to the leader, so we're gonna have to see how this shakes on out. But Ritter closing the gap on Ross for the race lead. at the moment. Our closest battle on the Speedway. Another close one here. Kenny Reel trying to reel in the 82 machine of Nick Larson. Those guys separated once again about half a second between the two of them, as that time we saw Larson a little loose off at turn number 2. A little bit of tail wagging done by that 82, just trying to jump on that power with a little bit too much wheel, a little too early. Alrighty, folks, we got to go to this battle. We'll jump back, see from a far standing view, but Ritter has been closing the gap on Ross. At the line last time, it was about 0.3 of a second. This time, it's going to be about 3.5 between the two of them. So Ritter definitely putting the pressure onto Ross. The question is, does Ross let him go? Ritter let the 44 go the first time around, knowing that maybe he did have some long run pace. So now we'll see if that's the same. My bet would be that it would not. I bet John Ross races him because they know they could probably make it pretty close to the halfway point, one stop this race, and call it a day. So this could be a very important battle of position. As you see, they're off of turn number 2. Ritter exiting the corner a little bit lower than John Ross, entering it a little bit higher. So really trying to take that arcing approach, able to roll just a little bit more momentum at the apex, and hopefully not burning off that right front by doing so. But if you can time it right, where you have that just sliver degree less of wheel in the car, able to run a little bit faster, it could definitely be a benefit. And if you do it right, you could save some tire with it. As we continue to see the battle further on back, Nick Larson and Kenny Reel duking it out for that 9th position. Reel was able to get in front of him, then Larson was able to charge back. Now once again Reel back in front. We'll see if he can hold the 82 at bay. Alrighty, folks, 31 laps in the book, so we are coming up to our third of the way through this race already, as it looks like Kenny Reel able to get on around. We'll now see if he can reel in the 62 machine. As we head back up to the front here, it looks like the 30 machine going a lap down. We saw him get it into the inside wall with those cold tires at the start, so I bet that car's not handling at 100%. He'll go on around. This man, once again, still swapping positions between the 82 and 24. Now, once again, Larson back in front of Reel. I think I just got to go put the camera on this here for a little bit. I think once that happens, they sort themselves out, but maybe not, as Larson way up the racetrack. That opens up the door for Reel on the bottom, as Larson almost gets a piece of the wall there off of turn number 4. Larson way down on the racetrack. You saw that 24 machine get a little bit loose there, and that's the bummer with New Hampshire, that it's kind of hard to see, but that inside lane really doesn't have any grip whatsoever. So you'll see the bottom, quote unquote, be that first dash line around both ends of the speedway. That is considered the bottom round here. The top side's kind of that seam. I know in previous builds, if you hit that seam right, it was really fast if you could keep the lefts on the concrete, the rights on the pavement. But it seems like tonight you want to be on that inside dash line for as long as possible, as we head up to the race leaders trying to do just that. And you can definitely tell when someone's right front starts going away here, especially at New Hampshire, with the lack of banking or whatnot. You'll see their corner, in the corner, they kind of come in low, will kind of float on up to the next lane, and then try and cut that car down for exit. So the more you float up, let's say, the worse off your right front is by the end of this race. As further on back, we see a battle shaping up for third, as Johnny Barker here in just a few laps is going to be under pressure from this 47 machine. Barker so far putting in a great race, sitting P number 3, but he's going to have some company here in a minute. He's got to make sure he rips off that rear view mirror and says, I got to keep my attention facing forwards here tonight. As a 62 machine, I don't know what happened to him, but just in, I want to say, one lap, fell from 8th to 10th, as once again a little bit loose off of that corner. Same with Nick Larson. So looks like these guys, the right rear, still a issue. If you push that envelope just a little bit too hard, it could come back to bite you very, very quickly. As we see for the most part here tonight, that it looks like everyone kind of sorting themselves on out, falling into where about they feel comfortable. No real battles, except for now at the lead, once again getting a little bit tighter there, as Ross had to yank the wheel a little bit, coming off of 2 there, not hit the wall. So the Skull 44 machine of John Ross trying to go 4 in a row. Steve Ritter in the number 16 trying to put a stop to that and pick up a win here tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Ritter was faster than Ross in qualifying, start on the pole. Ross had a little bit better short run and medium run pace, but it looks like long run pace may go to that 16 machine. This time by at the stripe, we will see 40 laps complete and 70 still to go here tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the White Mountain 110. As now it seems like they kind of sorted themselves on out. Let's ride on board with John Ross, looking back at Steve Ritter here and see where maybe that 16's gaining a little bit as we ride on board with our race leader. Oh, Ross had to pedal it there. This could open up the door for Ritter. Ritter thinks about it maybe for a second, but thinks better of it. Will back on out. You can tell Ross definitely pushing this car to the limit, trying to get everything he can out of it. As Ritter continues to keep the pressure here, we head back quickly to a battle for this 6th position. Cawthon able to get around Lowell. So Cawthon traveling in the right direction here recently. He's now trying to race his way into the top 5. We'll see if he can get on up there. 21 machine really slow. I think we'll see him be the first of pit road stops. He knew that right rear was hot, didn't like this car, so he's going to try and undercut here tonight. Be the first one down on pit road will be the 21 machine of Rob Lowe. The question is, when does the rest of the field come? If I'm the leader or someone towards the front, I'm trying to split this thing down halfway if I can, but if I see a good amount of cars, come down, I think I'll only run a handful of laps and then say I got to dive down too. Do not want to lose too much time to new tires, because right now these guys about a second off their best lap here in the race trim. Rob Lowe gets that car rocking and rolling here off of pit road. So next car we see down pit road, we see the 30 and the 4 both down on pit road here early. As we see the leaders complete another lap at the front stretch. If I'm Steve Ritter, I'm right behind John Ross like this. I think we got to play the strategy and come in a lap earlier than John Ross does. Got to either use some imagination, use some telepathy or something, get in the mind of the race leader and come in one lap early so that he can undercut him, at least be out in front of him on the racetrack. We now see the 62 machine head into his pit box. We'll get a little bit of damage repair done on the race car, but so far we have seen everyone come down, take 4 tires, and then jump on out of pits. About 40 to 50 seconds on pit road in total by the time you hit that first commitment line to the last commitment line. Right now, stop of the day going to Brandon Guerin's pit crew. A pretty speedy 14.90 pit stop from that crew, so that will help Guerin a little bit in the track position as we see the leaders in heavy lap traffic here tonight, splitting them both high and low, as that actually allowed John Ross to get a little bit of gap to second place of Ritter. And I bet you here in about 2 laps, we'll see pit road getting really busy. I believe that big window from probably 50 to 60, depending on, if the driver likes how their car's feeling out, maybe they'll stay out to 60, try and get advantage of a little bit fresher tires on the car, push a little bit more in the second run versus guys pitting maybe in just a few laps here in 50, saying, my car, the handling's going away, this right front's about dead, this right rear maybe is super hot, as we see Ritter get some big time tire spin off of turn number 4. So if I'm Ritter with a mistake like that, losing a little bit of ground this lap, even though my pace is better, if I'm looking at big picture and need a Hail Mary move, I'm coming in this time just to try and eliminate as little time lost to the car in front. But we're not up on the pit box, so we do not have a say in things as we see the top 2 go around for another lap here as we get really close to the halfway point. Oh, one car in the wall there in turn number 1. Looks like the 52 machine able to keep that car rolling. As one car, big bobble there in turn number 3. Johnny Barker maybe sailed it in just a little bit too hot. Had to chase that car up the racetrack. Able to keep it underneath him and in one piece, but that was definitely a clincher moment for the number 6 of Johnny Barker. So John Ross now extending the race lead just a little bit over Ritter out in front. So, man, I think if this gap continues to go in the wrong direction for Ritter, I think you got to pit here sooner rather than later, as this time by here on 53, we see the 82 machine of Nick Larson down on pit road. Now we see the 5 machine of Nate Cottola down on pit road. So if we don't get any yellow flags here from here on out, folks, this will be the only pit stop these drivers will have to make. So at minimum, these drivers cannot afford speeding on pit road, unsafe pit entry or exit. Anything like that would definitely take any driver out of this contention for a good finish. So these drivers having to hit their marks on these pit stops to try and not only gain some time around them, but they definitely don't want to be losing any time down on pit road. And here we have at the halfway point, John Ross, our race leader, down on pit road. It will leave Steve Ritter seeing the cross flags at the start finish line, halfway down, halfway home. And we have a busy pit road here tonight right now at the halfway point. Ross, Barker, Powell, Cawthon still down on pit road. So the most cars we've seen down on pit road is once. If I'm Steve Ritter, here he comes a little bit loose, trying to drive as much time as he can, drive the wheels off that race car to even get down pit road, as Ritter knows he needs to make up a little bit of time. Ritter will have 1 lap newer tires than John Ross. Also down on pit road, the 47 machine. It's going to be really close on tires when it's all said and done, but with the pit road cycle happening, this leaves one car out on track. It's the 24 machine of Kenny Reel. Reel out here leading the way now. He's probably just going to run it till it's on fumes, come on down pit road and see if he can really push to this finish. So with that lap difference here, folks, John Ross about a second, almost 2 seconds in front of Steve Ritter. Ritter did have a little bit slower of a stop, but about the same time spent down on pit road. So that shows you just the difference of 1 lap pace between these tires. As we see our race leader make it safely down on pit road. So this will cycle back out. The 44 machine of John Ross will pick back up the lead here tonight. The question is, with Steve Ritter's long run pace and a lap fresher tires, can he reel in John Ross? Out of those green flag pit stops, the best stop based on crew was the driver of this 25 machine, having the quickest pit stop here tonight with those green flag pit stops. So want to give a shout out to that crew here tonight down on pit road, putting in the work. As we see Kenny Reel heading out back on track, he merges right with Brandon Guerin. So this will be a battle for the 8th position, and Dalton Powell right there as well. I believe Powell had a penalty or something happen on pit road. He had an extended stay in the box, so Powell now just inside the top 10, I should say. Last car on the lead lap is the 51 machine, now trying to make it the 24. As Powell was running in the top 5 before those green flag pit stops, and that shows you just how quickly things can go from a pretty solid day to a day you kind of want to forget about. As we see Powell get a piece of the wall there off of turn number 2. Definitely the toughest spot on the racetrack here tonight. It seems like everyone has had some sort of issue getting off of turn number 2, whether that be the bump or the wall that comes up very quickly here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Man, oh man, last time by, Steve Ritter, best lap of the session. He just threw down a 31.74. Now follows up with a 31.93, about 0.3 of a second faster than John Ross. So we gotta wonder, is Ross saving? Is Ritter pushing too hard? We'll have to wait and see how it shakes on out, as it's only been under 10 laps since these guys have been down pit road. But you gotta wonder how these conditions of these race cars will be by the end of this 110. I know these drivers will be tired if this thing goes from green to checkered, having no breaks in between. So running down through the field here for the top 5. John Ross leading the way. Steve Ritter about 1.5 seconds back. Then a big gap to this driver here, Joseph Gravala, in the 47 machine, sits in third. Fourth, Rob Lowell able to bounce back inside the top 5 in the 21 machine, and then the 25 machine will round out our top 5 about 16 seconds back from the race leader, especially from Gravala here. Some pretty big gaps to the cars around him, except for this battle right here, shaping on up. Larson last down on 51. Real, the last car down on pit road on lap 58. Real having better tires. He's making up time on the cars around him. Now Real sets the 62 of Zingen on his sights here. It looks like Frank will slide up to the top side here, giving the inside to the 24 of Real off of turn number 2. Real will complete the pass. Zingen now will slide back to 7th, and maybe under fire from Nick Larson, who's trying to pull in Dalton Powell as well. So about 3 cars getting ready to square on off here. As we look a little bit further away, get a bigger picture of the speeds of the cars here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This track only a mile long, but we see speeds of upwards of 140, almost 150, as one car, big slide there from the 82 of Nick Larson. Somehow he hangs onto that race car. Wow, he had that thing working that wheel there in the cockpit of that 82 machine, but will lose 2 spots from that. But that could have been a lot worse if that thing hooked to the right or whatnot. Nick Larson lucky to have that car still in one piece. And the tough break of the day so far is this number 6 machine. I believe caught speeding on pit road, had a pit stop time of 50 seconds. That's definitely penalty worthy, and that slots him from running in that 3rd position all the way to the first car, 1 lap down. So that is a tough break for the number 6 machine of Johnny Barker. And to a short-lived battle here for the 7th position. Powell will slot into 7th. The 62 machine now down to the 8th position, as it seems like everyone kind of sorting themselves on out here for the moment. 70 laps in the books already of the 110. That just leaves us 40 to go, folks. Yeah, that was a good battle. Having looks like Grin, excuse me, in the YouTube chat lands. How you doing here tonight? Anyone you're rooting for? As that was a good battle between those three drivers, of Real Powell and Zingen. As I think we gotta go to the front here. John Ross, Steve Ritter, now a gap of less than half a second between the two of them. Let's ride on board with our second place driver of Ritter, see what he's doing. So last time by Ritter, a 32.27. Our leader was a 32.50. So Ross definitely a lot slower than Ritter here. And we may have a battle for the race lead in the second half of this race before we know it, as we see Ritter close the gap within 2 car lengths here. Both of them about even, getting to the loud pedal, putting the power down. But it seems like Ritter able to roll in a little bit more speed, and then right there before the apex, Steve Ritter is really, really fast here tonight at New Hampshire. Ritter all over the back bumper of Ross for the race lead. Further on back, Coffin gets around low for that 4th position here on the Speedway. As it looks like the 82 machine of Nick Larson will go a lap down. So these front 2 lapping inside of the top 10 here, as we have gone clean and green so far for all 75 laps to start for race number 14 of the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series. Man, folks, this battle is getting good for the race lead. Steve Ritter will throw it down to the inside of John Ross. Side-by-side battle for the race lead. Does Ross have anything on the top side? No, he doesn't. Back to the point. Steve Ritter leading in the second half of this race. Now you gotta wonder, what is John Ross' approach? Is one car way sideways down, heading to pit road, the 62 machine. I think this is an untimed stop, as that is a bummer to see him down on pit road. As we see the 16 machine of Steve Ritter leading the way here tonight. He's part of the Piston Broke Motorsports, looking for a win here tonight at New Hampshire. Then the Wildman Racing of John Ross is sitting in second here. Ross, of course, trying to go for that 4 in a row, but looking like that's slipping further and further back, as Ritter has turned up the heat and checking out now over a second advantage for our race leader. I know the likes of Ritter and Ross wouldn't like to see it, but could you imagine how much the complexion of this race would get flipped on its head if we do in fact get a late race yellow? I believe most, if not all, the teams at least have another set, if not 2 sets of tires still left over the wall. So I assume if we see any sort of yellow flag in these last 30 laps, we'll see everyone come down, slap 4 fresh Goodyear tires on the car, filled up with the virtual Sunoco race fuel, and let these cars eat for the rest of this race. Right now, as this second half of this run, I should say the second run, comes up to the halfway point here, we'll run through the top 5 here as they sit Steve Ritter leading the way in the Leaf Guard number 16 machine. Then in second, the 44 Skull of John Ross. Third will be the BKA 47 machine of Joseph Gravala. Got to talk with him last week. He was super pumped up to be on the podium. He's hoping to do another one here tonight. He sits in a good spot in that third position, kind of in an island of his own. Then we jump back to our fourth place runner, up 4 spots from where he started here tonight. That is AJ Cawthon in the 25 machine. He's looking pretty sporty, but a lot of time to make up in front of him. He's hoping for a yellow. And then we head to the guy that has put together a great race so far. That is the 24 machine of Kenny Reel. Reel it for the first time tonight in the top 5 when it counts in the second half of the race here. And Reel, biggest mover so far of the night, up 5 spots from where he started. So now lapping up to our 6th place driver, our driver that is the first car 1 lap down, is our 7th place runner, Brandon Guerin, in the number 4 machine. As you can see, just went a lap down. Oh, just catches a piece of the wall down the front straightaway, but Guerin, having that damage at the start, dropped all the way back down to 10th, if not outside the top 10, able to fight his way back on up. Back up to Pete, number 7, but Guerin probably hoping for a yellow flag, or if not that, for sure Ritter not catching the next car in front, that being our 6th place driver, Dalton Powell, about just under a quarter lap ahead of our race leader. So it does look like the 62 machine does bring it pit side and calls it a day. So the 62 machine of Frank down and out here. Tough break for him. He was kind of flown around the top 10 all night long. Will walk away with a 15th, not the night he wanted. As that time at the stripe for the 16 machine of Ritter, we see 25 laps to go. We have gotten down to the countdown clock here tonight for the White Mountain 110 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Battle for the 10th position on the speedway. Rob Lowe trying to hang on to a top 10. Get around Johnny Barker for the 9th position. Barker now going to try and hold on to a top 10 finish before it's all said and done. And like I said before, both these guys not having probably the race they wanted. Barker, of course, having those issues on pit road. That really hurt that number 6's chance to having a good run. And then Rob Lowe having those issues with the handling of the race car. Just doesn't seem like he has gotten into a really good rhythm here tonight. And then, yeah, field very spread out here throughout all the battles on position. The only closest is that pass we just saw there between Rob and Johnny, that about 1.5 seconds and growing of a gap between them, but everyone else kind of running their own race. As we see a fan of the 47 team out here tonight, rooting on this BKA 47 of Joseph Gravala. I tell you what, it was a pleasure talking to him post-race last weekend at Chicagoland. It seemed like he was super pumped up to be on the podium there, and I bet he will be here tonight, as this New Hampshire Motor Speedway, no joke, a very, very tough track to not only, put a full race together, but then on top of it, to put a good finish together and walk away happy with the result. Definitely worth a pat on the back when they get done with this. But still have 20 laps to go. He's got to keep that car underneath him and make sure he hits his marks each and every lap. I know we got 20 to go, so we are getting in the closing stages of it. With us being in the closing stages, we got a little bit of cars on the backstretch here, so why don't we let the cars do the talking for a little bit and do a little turn 3, turn it up. We head back here to our second place driver in some thick of it with some lap traffic here. We just saw just before the turn 3 turn it up, we did see our 6th place driver Dalton Powell go a lap down. Now Kenny Reel gonna have to try and stay in front of Ritter. Luckily having over a quarter track to the end, I believe he should stay on the lead lap, but this time by Ritter will see 16 laps to go of the White Mountain 110. You see the 52 machine of Dave Farella down on pit road late in the race here, so I believe he may lose 12 to Caton, but it will be close as Farella tries to get to his box there. But Steve Ritter has done a great job here tonight. Was quickest in practice, quickest in qualifying, and then leading when it counts here with inside of 15 laps to go now. Steve Ritter, our race leader over John Ross, who you can see in the distance there. And then Joseph Guerrero just getting off at turn number 2 in that 3rd position. And then we gotta go all the way back for our 4th place, that being the 25 of Cawthon, and then Kenny Reel rounding out the top 5 here. Now, if I'm in Ritter's shoes and it's getting to this point of the race, having a nice cushion lead over second, so you take that stress out. Your mind's got to wander to somewhere else, give you some stress of something else. What I always worried about in this situation for myself would be that late race yellow flag and thinking about all the situations, what I would do, what I wouldn't do. In this point, especially inside, if we get a yellow inside 10 laps to go, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some guys with some strategy of 2 tires versus 4. If I'm Ritter, though, I think I got to take my chances, go the safe route, come on down, take 4 tires, and then make sure you hit your marks on the start. Let the other guys take a risk of the 2 tires, because we've seen how loose these race cars be off the corner, and I don't know if I would want more of that with only a 2-tire stop. But this is all hypothetical stuff that I'd be thinking about in the race car, because luckily we are still green flag racing from the start of the race. So already coming up to 100 laps, green flag racing here tonight. And you know, you don't get that in a lot of places. You see a lot of cautions, a lot of, man, what are you guys doing? But now, not here for the Riptide Radio 802 Next Gen Cup Series. These guys have been putting on a show and doing some great racing with it, as we see the number 30 machine head down another lap. And yeah, we see the 52, I believe, retired. Looks like he will end up in the 14th position. That time by out of the flag stand, we see the flag man giving 2 open palms to the drivers. That means it's 10 laps to go here tonight at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 10 miles left of the White Mountain 110 here. Everyone making sure they hit their marks. Nothing really crazy happening out on track, so we're going to keep the camera on the race leader in case anything crazy happens to him as we continue to pan through the field here. Looking pretty good as we try out some different camera shots. Right here we got a slow moving drone out here on the speedway. Looks like a couple of them is John Ross trying to get around the lapper of Caton. As we might need to keep an eye on this, folks. Brandon Guerin reeling in Dalton Powell in front of him. So Guerin made up a ton of time just right there. I think maybe more is actually Guerin gets a piece of the wall heading into turn number 3. He's in it again in the middle of 3 and 4. So Guerin having to keep those mistakes to a minimum if he does in fact want to try and reel in and maybe try and get around that 51 machine for 6th, because Guerin does have this pace. The question is, does he have enough time, as we already have 7 laps to go here. Leader crosses the stripe on the front stretch, making it 6 to go, as now Gravala trying to get on around these lap cars here, but I bet Guerin has one thing on his mind, one thing in his sights, and that's the next car in front of him on track, Dalton Powell. So we might have a battle here for 6th position before it's all said and done. And yes, we will as Guerin able to roll the middle a lot better than the 51. Wasn't quite on the power, probably as he would like, but able to get to the left rear, and Powell overdrives the corner big time. 3 wide racing here at New Hampshire, as Powell just kisses the outside wall there in 3 and 4. That allows Guerin to go on by. Last time by at the stripe, Steve Ritter saw the open palm, one singular one, meaning 5 laps to go. This time though, he will see 4 to go left in the race here tonight. And I didn't realize Nick Larson was in this battle as well. Larson was able to get around Powell, now trying to get around Guerin for that 6th position. So 3-car battle here. Larson able to walk around him like he's standing still there. So give Larson P number 6 here, with now going to be 3 laps to go. Three to go at the stripe for Steve Ritter, trying to put an end to John Ross's winning streak. Ross having won 3 in a row. Steve Ritter trying to make it happen here tonight. As this time by at the stripe, Steve Ritter will see popsicle sticks up in the air. We will have 2 laps to go left in the New Hampshire White Mountain 110. Ritter just wants to get back to the line, see that white flag. If that's the case, you're racing to the checkered. No chance of a green-white checkered or anything like that. Through 3 and 4, Ritter will come. This time by at the line, Steve Ritter will see the white felt. 1 more lap to go. John Ross trying to use up whatever he has left in the tank. It's not going to be enough. Steve Ritter through 1 and 2 for the final time. Able to get off at turn number 2. Clean and green track in front of him. Then through the final time here, through 3 and 4, Steve Ritter off of turn number 4, the Leaf Guard 16 machine. Steve Ritter is going to pick up the checkered flag and the win at New Hampshire for race number 14. Second will be the 44 of John Ross, and rounding out the top 3, who we'll be talking to tonight, Joseph Gervala will come home in third and be talking to us once again here in the post-race show. So Steve Ritter getting the job done here from New Hampshire. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, finishing P number 1 here when it comes to race time. Steve Ritter getting the hat trick done. He'll burn it down for the fans here at the start-finish line. Give it on up for Steve Ritter. Steve Ritter burning it down here on the front stretch, and we will be right back here after commercial break. We will get rolling with the post-race, but we'll be right back after a quick break. Alrighty, folks, we come back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway and talking with our top 3. The first guy we're going to be taking a talking to will be the driver of the number 47 machine, that being Joseph Gervala. Joseph, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, buddy, I got you.
Alrighty, man. Talking to me for 2 weeks in a row. That is pretty impressive. How you feeling after a race that goes from green to checkered here? You got to be feeling a little bit tired after that one, especially around New Hampshire.
So I'm definitely tired. I'm a little extra tired because we had a kart race earlier this morning, and that's pretty. You know, if you've ridden a go-kart, there's no power steering. It's all you and the road. So it took a toll, and then we got I just made it with 9 minutes to go in practice, so not too bad for 9 minutes of practice here. So yeah, it's a little beat today. Yep.
Yeah, I tell you what, 9 minutes of practice, walking away with a podium, that is pretty impressive. Then you add in, like you said, a go-kart race earlier in the morning here today. Man, Joseph, you are a busy man. I don't know how your arms are still staying attached to you.
Oh man, it's awesome. I live for this. I wish I could race all day, every day. That's just, that's the only thing that goes through my mind all day, and taking care of the family and all that. But as far as aside from responsibilities, this is it, man. This is really what I was born to do, and I'm glad I could do it virtually or real life, and especially with the great group. New Hampshire's a tough track. It's pretty flat. There's no banking. It's not flat out like Atlanta and all those tracks. A win here, big grats to Steve, because a win here to me means more than a win at Daytona, a win at Atlanta, a win at Dega. A win at this kind of track, or Dover or Darlington, where you really got to know how to drive, means a lot. So big grats to Steve there.
Yeah, this place definitely one of those drivers' tracks that if you push even just a little bit over that edge, this place will come up and bite you. As we saw a lot of people, struggling with turn 2 and then even kind of entry at turn 3. How did you navigate turn number 2? Because that seemed like everyone's tough spot to try and put the power down.
So at the start of the race, there's always it's real slick, cold, no grip. But for the first time, and for as many times I've been here, the car got really tight. I burnt out the right front, and I find it odd because it's usually the right rear that goes, and I like a loose car that breaks free. So tight cars and me don't get along. It's like oil and water. So it was pretty tough. I would just keep moving the brake bias back every few so laps, so I can get the rear end to kick out and point the nose. And then it's just experience of when you can put your foot down, you ease onto it, and when you can go all the way, especially with force feedback wheels, direct drive helps a lot, so you can feel if the car is breaking loose. So just recognizing the signs is a big factor here when to put all the power down.
Some awesome insight there, Joseph. Really do appreciate it. And man, as we close into the playoffs, you on a pretty good streak. Talking to a broadcaster, I always like to say, that's always my goal when I come into a race night. You doing exactly that the last 2 weeks on the Turn 3 Racing Network. I mean, how does this feel? How does that momentum carry in and hopefully carry you into the playoffs as well, just to continue the streak?
Man, well, I gotta thank again the group here, because me and restarts, again, oil and water. I hate short runs. I suck at them. It's the long runs like this and last week that I really thrive, where I can get in a groove and just stay there. Yellows and caution, they break your concentration, then you gotta reset, and they're tough for me. That's probably my biggest crutch. So big thanks to the group. We went flag to flag, and that's not easy. Again, especially at a track like this, no matter the car count. So big thanks to them, and just John Ross there. I had a issue with Discord, but him playing crew chief every race, man, it takes a lot. I don't know how he does it, but he does it on the fly. So it's a big thanks to John there and Wildman Racing for taking me in there. But momentum going, it's going to be great to cap off the season, and then hopefully we can contend next season.
Hopefully, man. Well, Joseph, it's always a great time talking with you here in the booth. We will hand over the mic to you one last time to thank anyone else either on the car or maybe watching at home. I believe you had some people cheering you on in the YouTube chat land, so got to give you a chance to give everyone a shout out here before we let you go.
Absolutely. The car sponsor, BKA, El Paso Motorsports Kart Racing Club. It's our karting club. We season just kicked, or is going to kick off on the 24th of March. So we just had practice this morning, as I mentioned. So big thanks to them for being a great group there and sponsoring the car. Dad, who plays crew chief for the kart, always supporting my racing habits and giving me advice. Their biggest thing is patience. He's always preaching patience, and I think as racers, especially myself, it's one of the hardest things to learn, especially when you're quick and you can be quicker than those guys. Those are the times where it bites you and you mess up because you're a little impatient. So big thanks to Dad, my sister as well and her boyfriend for putting or for supporting and playing pit crew this morning and supporting my racing habits. Also, they'll jump in and out of the stream every so often. And of course, my wife and the kids there. I can't wait till they start racing. It's gonna be great. It's coming up pretty soon, the older one, and then the baby, he's gonna jump on pretty soon. Big thanks to them and you, of course, for putting the show on, letting us watch it. I'm gonna watch the replay here in a little bit, but I'm sure it was a great show. I'm excited.
All righty, Joseph. Once again, huge congrats here from me at Turn 3 Racing Network on the third place. You continue this awesome run. Have yourself a great night and a good rest of the week, and we'll catch you next week.
Awesome. We'll see you there.
All righty, folks. That was our third place finisher, Joseph Gurvala. Now we'll head up to our runner-up finisher tonight, that being the 44 of John Ross, another driver we have talked to, both broadcast post-race interviews. He is the other one besides Joseph Gurvala. It is John Ross. John, you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
I got you, Brett.
All righty, so I was just saying, you're another one we've talked to both weeks here so far in this season, keeping the consistency on with a second place here tonight. But I bet you wanted one spot more. Tell us about your race.
It was fantastic, right? So flag to flag, you can't beat that, especially on a tricky track like this. Steve was just too fast for us tonight. I think in that first run, I felt a little bit better with the car. I was taking a little bit lower line, letting it roll through the center, and the car would kind of push up in the center, and I was trying to diamond the exit. And I was getting some pretty good runs on that first stint. And then when I went in at pit, I just lost the feel of the car a little bit. Steve was running me down, and I really could not get the drive off. I tried to really throttle out a few times. It tried to get loose on me. So when he got a good run, I just let him go, and I was just looking at the distance between us and third, and I said, well, let me just kind of hang here because I didn't have anything for him anyway, even if I caught him. I just didn't quite have the feel tonight that I needed to be able to run with him.
Dang, oh so close to 4 in a row, John, but walking away with 3 in a row, I mean, that's got to be some huge momentum for you in this season. And, not a bad night at all to be runner-up as well. It shows you just how good you are and the competition here.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, Brett, last week, and there's just some guys that are really great at certain tracks. And Steve's been quick all season long. He's had a couple of little bad rolls, a couple of wrecks and accident, getting mired in the back, but he's been quick. But we've got a lot of guys that can really turn some fast laps. I think Johnny was really quick on that first stint. Also, I'm not sure what happened to him by the second one. I believe Joseph, he's been with us for 2 races and 2 top 3s. So some really fast guys here, and I can't wait. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I am as well, John. It should be a bunch of fun, and I can't wait to see how everything shakes on out as we approach the playoffs. And John, I'm going to go keep it fairly short tonight, keep the show rolling. I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank on this car. And yeah.
Yeah, Brett, I appreciate it, and went back, watched the broadcast last week. You do a fantastic job, man. So thank you for taking this on and coming on board with us. We certainly appreciate it. Want to thank the sponsors for the league. That's Riptide Radio, DTL Customs, BG Graphics, and Leaf Guard. I believe Steve has Leaf Guard as his sponsor. So thanks to those guys really for helping us out with this league. And want to thank the Wildman team. Leroy, he's on vacation, so he can't be here tonight. But Leroy, Joseph with another great run. Christian, he can't be here tonight, so we hope to get those guys back next week. And then Roman, he's always in the chat with us and talking to us, so we certainly appreciate him too. And last, Rob, for putting this league on. Fantastic race tonight. You can't beat green to green, flag to flag. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that it was. You guys put on an awesome show. John, appreciate you putting on a show as well with the battle with Steve and keeping it exciting out in the front. So once again, huge congrats on another podium for you this season. Second place here tonight. Got to still feel pretty good about that.
Yes, it does. Appreciate it.
All righty, John. You have yourself a great rest of the night. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, Brett.
All righty, folks. Now we head down to Victory Lane. It looks like Steve's all set, so we will catch the word of the driver of the number 16 machine, Steve Ritter. Steve, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
I do, Jet. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, how are we feeling? 110 laps at New Hampshire, flag to flag. You're down in victory lane. Man, you have to be pretty exhausted after that one.
I am pretty tired. I'm an older guy, so yeah, that one wore me out.
I mean, anytime you get 110 green flag consistent laps is always going to be a pretty good workout, but then you throw in the tricky track of New Hampshire, not too much banking can very easily lead to mistakes, whether you overdrive the corner or get on that gas just a little bit too much. I mean, tell me, how did you manage this race from no yellow flags from the green flag pit stops to everything coming together to pick up a win here tonight?
Yeah, the car was great. The Leaf Guard Ford was really good tonight, especially coming off the corners. We figured out a way to just ease on the gas, get the wheels pointed straight, and be able to get out of two and out of four. John passed me there in that first stint. I kind of let him by a little bit. He made a couple runs to the inside, and I didn't really want to battle with him, so we kind of let him go, and then I just chased him, fouled him. I think at the end of the first stint, I was a little quicker than him, but there was no point in passing him. I kind of thought I'd just get him in that second run, and yeah, it worked out perfect. I was praying that we didn't get no yellows though there at the end.
Oh, I bet you were. I was even saying in the broadcast booth when I'm in your shoes, especially, I even started talking about 15 laps to go. I don't know if it happened sooner or later than that for you, but I'm like, man, I start thinking about if there's a late race yellow, what's the strategy, what's the game plan going on there? And it sounds like you were having those same thoughts going on.
Yeah, somebody had yelled over the radio that somebody had just spun, and I'm like, it was like 3 to go, and I'm like, please, no green, white checkers.
Yeah, that's the last thing you wanted to see, especially with that comfortable leave. I mean, yeah, Steve, how did you not only track John down there in that second stint, but then be able to check out and I believe win over 2.5 seconds? I mean, this car looked really, really good that second stint. I thought the strategy for me was you were gonna have to short pit him, but you proved me wrong up in the booth and showed that hey, you had this race all planned out.
Yeah, like I said, it was just I knew I was a little quicker on the first stint. There was no point in passing him, so I just kind of followed him. And then when I saw the opportunity, he was 2 seconds out coming out of the pits, and I noticed I was closing it down, and there was one lap. I don't know which one it was, but we were coming out of two, and John got a little sideways, and he just barely tagged the wall, and I knew at that point that he was pushing a little harder than he wanted to, and I was still not really pushing that hard, so I kind of knew I had him at that point.
Yeah, and that you did, Steve. Awesome run here tonight. And I was trying to look real quick for you. Is this your first win this season?
This is in the 802 Cup Series this season and in this league, yeah.
Wow, awesome stuff. So congrats for me here in the booth in turn 3 and probably everyone else at 802. That is an awesome accomplishment. Just to add a little bit more pressure in those closing laps for you, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, awesome job, man. This number 16 machine looked flying here tonight. Not only were you fast in the race, qualified on the pole. I mean, you had, I think, almost 2/10 over the next guy. I mean, how'd you find that much pace at the early part of this race in qualifying?
That's actually a good question. We laid down a lap in practice that was a 5, and I didn't think I'd be able to mimic it, and I went a little bit quicker actually. So it was just hitting the marks. Again, the car was perfect tonight. The setup was awesome, and we had figured out a way to get out of those corners and get the wheel straight, and just be able to power off. So I think that was the difference.
Yeah, that seemed to be. You had some great drive off all race long, Steve. And once again, huge congrats on the first win here down in Victory Lane. I bet it feels good, but we, of course, got to give you a chance to thank all that made it possible to pick up win number 1. So, Steve, I'll hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank, either on the car or watching at home.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Yeah, all my guys on Piston Bro, Kenny, Frank, Jason, Brandon for the paint job. Those guys are always there every week. We encourage each other on, so I got to thank them. Leaf Guard for sponsoring the car, making it happen for us, and Riptide Radio for the series, BG Graphics, everybody that's involved, GStone Motors, everybody. Can't thank them enough. And Rob for running the league. I mean, he does a great job. He's always under a lot of pressure, but he seems to persevere all the time. So that's awesome. And for you guys for broadcasting, watch last week's broadcast. It was, I think, the first one you had done for us, and great job, man. It was, I enjoyed every minute of it. So can't wait to watch this one.
Yeah, this one will be a good one to watch. Going green to checkered, always a good time, and you guys put on a great show, both you and John at the front and everyone else through the field. So, Steve, once again here, congrats on the first win. I'll let you go and celebrate it probably all night long.
Thanks, Brett. We're going to pop a beer open right now.
There you go. That's the way to celebrate. All righty, Steve, you have a great rest of your night, great weekend. We'll catch you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, man. See ya.
All righty, folks. That was Steve Ritter picking up his first win of this season and in the 802 league. So pretty awesome stuff there for Steve. I bet he is pumped up. I know I would be. So, folks, we'll try and get you on out of here. But first, we got to head through our race results and figure out who finished where here tonight. So picking up the win will be the 16 Leaf Guard machine of Steve Ritter. Second going to John Ross in the 44. And rounding out the top three is Joseph Gervala in the 47. Fourth going to AJ Cawthon in the 25. Rounding out the top five is Kenny Reel in the 24. And Kenny actually the biggest mover of the race, up 5 spots. Also up 5 spots is the driver finishing in 6th. That is Nick Larson. 7th going to Brandon Guerin in the 4. 8th is the 51 of Dalton Powell. 9th is Rob Lowell in the 21. 10th and rebounding back up into the top 10 will be the 6 of Johnny Barker. 11th is the 5 of Nate Catola. 12th is Ariba Caton in the 30. 13th is Jeff Barefoot. 14th, Dave Farella. And 15th, Frank Zingen. And that will do it for the drivers that showed on up. Of course, we got to thank all the series sponsors out here making this possible. We heard a little bit of them before, but that is, of course, BG Racing Graphics, Out of the Woods Crafts, DTL Custom Graphcs, Leaf Guard, and, of course, Riptide Radio, the sounds of the salt, sand, and sea, broadcasting from Ocean Drive, South Carolina. Free to download for the best in Carolina beach and boogie music. Be sure to check out Riptide Radio and throw it on for some great tunes. I have been Brett the Jet from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to tune in to Turn 3 throughout the week as we have a lot of great broadcasts, a lot of great series to be broadcasting, and a lot of great virtual racing to cover. Once again, I want to give a huge shout out to all the drivers showing up here tonight, putting on a show, and going from green to checkered. That is definitely very impressive. Got to, of course, shout out all the fans tuning on in here live and replay. And, of course, the ones that jumped into the YouTube chat land. Thanks for giving me something to chat about and talk to you guys about. Everyone stay safe. Have a good one. And we will catch you next week at the Dover Motor Speedway. You won't want to miss that. Another driver track. It should be an awesome one. So we'll catch you next Sunday at Dover. Everyone take care, stay safe, and have a good one. I have been Brett the Jet, and I just flew by you.